twice leading in the game. Twice United came back. All the goals with slight bizarre elements to them. Flurry of yellow cards in the match as the rain tumbled down at Old Trafford. Mustafi opening the scoring from De Gea's gaff, the skipper in the second half after Ramsey was forced off injured. And Fellaini putting himself about a bit. Jesse Lingard helping guide home what ultimately proves to be the final goal of the game. Moments for Lacazette, looked as though he'd won it for Arsenal. Full time at Old Trafford, Manchester United 2, Arsenal 2.
So the shares are the spoils are shared, I should say. That second half has got me in a twist. Guys, sum it up for me. Perry Groves, Jim Campbell in the Arsenal Nation Live studio with me. The emotions was up here, it was down there. I mean, what do you want to say about that, Jim? You first.
It was a bizarre game. If you look at the scoreline and the scorers, if you hadn't seen it, you'd expect it to have been a far better game than it was. There was very little quality in it. It was very bitty, very scrappy. First half, the second half followed the pattern of the first half a little bit. There were points where Arsenal had little sparks of quality and they really badgered their way into getting ahead, and then to concede in such a farcical manner is very frustrating. But I think symptomatic of a game that was played in a way that was always about just digging out little moments. I feel that was the home side's plan all along, and that's how it panned out.
Yeah, the ex-professional's point of view, what did you make of that? If you were in that team today, would you be disappointed? Would you be happy? How would you feel?
I think after the game, I liked the pictures after, actually. Mustafi on his haunches when he looked disappointed. It's not like big fist pumps from our players. You know, we've got a 2-2 draw at Old Trafford. But I think tomorrow, and then when you come back in on Friday, you'll think that was a hard-earned point because there was tackles flying in. We had a few injuries. That was just about doing horrible stuff, and we actually did the horrible stuff there. And if you look at it, if you're being hypercritical, second half, I love the fact that Emery again made the positive change with half an hour to go, brought Lacazette on and Aubameyang on the left. Mkhitaryan has a great chance, Aubameyang has a great chance. And if you're ruthless, and we talked about our class Suita being the top, that's a different level where you have to be ruthless at that level. But again, the bigger picture, if you said to me on Saturday that you'll beat them up the road convincingly on Sunday and then you go to Old Trafford, and you've got to think that game took a lot out of us on Sunday. Trust me, the emotions. To go there with a horrible, niggly team you're playing against who just want to disrupt the way that you play. That's how far Manchester United have fallen. They're just happy to stop the flow of the game. Exactly. So 4 points out of 6, then I'd have settled for that. So there'd be disappointment initially, but then I think then tomorrow when you settle down a bit and look at the big picture, you think, yeah, we dug in a little bit there. So I'm not, too disappointed, to be honest.
I think it's because for a long time Arsenal fans have felt like, we should be beating Manchester United, and again was another opportunity where we could have had them and we didn't. But, as you say, 4 points from those 2 games, it's not a bad return. But someone who came on and, changed the game, as he has done many times, Alexandre Lacazette. Lots of people loving him on social media. Hello to Luke, who says, impact sub much? Yeah, I mean, Lacazette, he's unbelievable. Jahan as well, saying, getting Lacazette, instant impact sub. He seems to be our go-to guy off the bench, doesn't he?
Absolutely, and I think as well, if you look back to where he was about a year ago, where it looked like he hadn't settled and he didn't look happy and he wasn't sort of sure of the decision maybe even to come to Arsenal. The change in him, the change in his body language has been fantastic and so admirable. And you can see that he seems happy to be on the bench and to contribute when he can, because I'm sure we'll see him starting a lot more as the season goes on. I think it's probably a little bit of Christmas rotation happening here. But again, we spoke about at the top of the show, it's so important to have that quality on the bench and have that depth and have those partnerships all throughout the squad. Where you can link up and get maybe interesting solutions to problems out of your team, which is, I guess, what that forced goal was. I mean, if you look at the quality of these 2 teams, we could have just watched a really drab 0-0 because all 4 goals should have been avoidable.
Thing is, the beautiful irony that it's Rojo who actually gets involved, gives the ball away, and then tries to tackle Lacazette. But Mkhitaryan came on and he looked quite lively. That is the best little half an hour I'd seen of him for about 3 or 4 games. So he robs Rojo, then plays obviously the little 1-2 with Lacazette. So the 2 substitutes again have come on and made an impact. Unfortunately, we thought he got the winner, didn't we? And it was a brilliant finish, but flagged offside. So I'm we forced the game in the second half. We didn't sit as deep, which I didn't want us to do, which was good. The second half performance again was better than the first half performance, which has been a theme all the way through. And I'm pleased that we've actually battled our way to a horrible draw. I know we want to go and beat teams 4 or 5-0, but we've battled our way to a horrible, nasty draw up north. You know what I mean? So that little soft tag, you know, we're sort of shaking it off at the minute. So I don't mind that.
Listen, some people might have said, you know, last season or the season before that we would have lost that game, you know? So it's two ways of looking at it, isn't there? But then straight off from the kick-off, down the other end, Jesse Lingard stuck it in. There's a gif here we can see from Alex. It's just like, awkward. This is the worst. Because not only did Lingard score that goal here at the Emirates where he milli rocked and done the dance and, you know, the gif circles and circles, he's just gone down the other end. Massive lapse in concentration. Really disappointing, Perry.
It's when they go through it, which they will go through it, through the analysis, Unai Emery will be absolutely apoplectic because even as a kid, when you're playing in youth teams, you're taught when you score, you work your socks off to win the ball back. So there was no pressure. Everybody just eased off. We let a long ball be pumped through the middle, like Lukaku challenges Socrates. Don't win that one. Next one, Kolasinac hasn't tucked round far enough. Then just clear your lines. He's caught in two minds. To be fair, Leno's then caught in two minds. So there's just uncertainty in that sort of 9 seconds have ended up costing us a goal. So it's game management and it is unprofessional. You do not concede a goal 10 seconds after that you've scored. So that would be another big frustration. I
mean, all of us watching it out there, you know, the three of us were watching it out there and kind of when he stuck it in the back of the net, we were a bit like...
How's that happened?
Yeah, like I didn't expect it. It was so weird. I thought, are they showing a replay or something?
Yeah, quite, because we were still seeing the replay of Arsenal's goal. So by the time the pictures even came back, they were in our box, and it just seemed unfathomable that the ball could have even got there in such a quick amount of time. So it's one of those things, isn't it? There are still going to be mistakes that need to be ironed out of perhaps old habits of our defence being a little bit rickety, and I suppose that's an example of it. But I still think after that, Arsenal were the better side in the game, and even with Fellaini, Pogba and Lukaku coming on, as we all figured might make a difference, they didn't really. So they stood up to it, and as you touched on earlier, Perry, they wouldn't be bullied, and they stood up to that and mixed it. So there are positives to take. It's hard to sort of extract them after such a frustrating game, especially where we've led twice. But it's definitely a huge improvement on previous trips to Old Trafford.
By the way, it's our culpable disappointment, right? And the players. You've drawn 2-2 at Old Trafford. Yeah. It doesn't matter that they are poor at the moment, they're lacking in confidence. They still raise their game. I saw them play against Crystal Palace when they drew 0-0. They played with nowhere near that intensity, nowhere near that desire against Crystal Palace. So it's Arsenal coming into town, which is a big team. We all knew they was going to raise their game. You know what I mean? Not necessarily with the ball, but just in their tackling, which they did. So I think it's going 20 unbeaten, and we have made strides, and being disappointed, saying a horrible, nasty, fractious draw at Old Trafford 2-2. I think you can just say, well, we're progressing in the right direction. Yeah. Even though if you go twice up, you'd expect to win the game. So it's easy for me because I'm not involved in it there. That dressing room will be very quiet. That dressing room, one, because they're shattered because they've had the game. Yeah. No, because that game takes a huge amount out of you physically and mentally. You know, when you've seen your centre-half go off an injury, Torreira you've seen Aaron Ramsey go off with an injury. So it's all these horrible knocks, and then there'll be ice packs on all around. It'll be like a war zone in the dressing room because there'll be a lot of people carrying a lot of injuries there. Nothing to be said. Unai Emery won't go in and rant and rave because he knows the disappointment of the players, you know what I mean? So it'll be, all right, we'll talk about it tomorrow. You know, we've battled, be proud of yourselves. Then we'll go through the finer bits of it where we can do better. And in the future, we will do better.
And it's raw at the moment as well, isn't it? As you say, you know, we're feeling disappointed here. Lots of Arsenal fans around the world will be feeling the same. But, you know, tomorrow you'll wake up and go, it's not too bad, you know. Speaking of Arsenal fans around the world, we've got some reaction from social media from all of you. Hello to East Lower, the man in the East Lower. 2-2 is a good result. And I love how we kept on attacking, but I wish we'd kept on defending too. At 2-1, we should have won it. Basically exactly what Perry just said. Hello to Sleepy Gary as well, saying, annoying, we should have won. The injuries hurt more than dropping 2 points. And hello to Saeed, who says, we really should have won that, but a point at Old Trafford is more than what we usually get, so I'll take it. it. So yeah, basically, generally what we've just said, you know, there's disappointment out there, but you know, in hindsight, it's not too bad. But one of the tweets there mentioned the injuries, and I feel like we need to touch on the injuries right now. Rob Holding, especially, he'll be bitterly disappointed about being injured. He's been playing really well for us. He's got a run in the first team, and now this has happened. Obviously, we don't know how serious it is at the moment, but it's still a bit disappointing.
Yeah, very much so. Let's hope it's not serious, because he has been making real strides, and he looks like a player that Emery trusts as well. And I think he looks particularly good in a 3, and they seem to have been sort of developing a little bit of an understanding. There's a little bit of a hierarchy between them, which I think is a really sort of healthy thing to have, especially for the goalkeepers. Well, you need a settled group of defenders in front of you. So I don't know who's going to come in for Holding if it's a even sort of short to mid-term injury. Perhaps Koscielny will be rushed back. I don't know, but
I think he played yesterday. I think, didn't he? And he came off injured. I think
He
in
did,
the under-23s. Yeah. So unless it's just precautionary, which because he's not going to put him straight back in on Saturday with no games under his belt. I wouldn't have thought.
So I imagine we maybe have Lichtsteiner or Kolasinac out of position again. It's a frustrating one, because it forces Emery to shuffle his squad in a way that he might not necessarily want to.
Well, speaking of defence, though, Mustafi had a good game, you know, and social media has been awash with that. Here we go. Here's a GIF from Aloera, who says, me watching Mustafi tonight. Played really, really well. And a few of you having your say on the tweets as well. Hello to Guy, who says, Mustafi playing good again? ? And then hello to Wanda, who says, Mustafi immense. So, yeah, he's getting a lot of love out there, and he did have a good game, to be fair.
Yeah, well, he scored, didn't he? Like, he showed a big desire to get on the end of the corner. And my worry when we talked about half-time was that they bring Fellaini on, which you knew was going to happen. They bring Lukaku on, that we was going to drop deep. But to be fair, we didn't. We tried. In commentary, the guy was saying we're keeping the high line. Now, that can work one of two ways. You leave a lot of space in behind, but they haven't got anybody. Lukaku's a strong one without being electric. So I think that, again, that's coming from the manager saying, when we're in their half, I don't want you dropping too deep, and we didn't. And again, we've actually gone to try and win the game when we've been 1-0 up, 2-1 up, you know, disappointed getting pulled back to level peggings. But we've actually gone to try and win the game. We haven't gone the last 10, 15 minutes at Old Trafford and thought, oh, hold on a minute, we're 2-2 here. A lot of managers make a negative substitution when you're 2-2 at Old Trafford. They'll put a holding midfield player on. Emery didn't he? Went with Lacazette, again with half an hour to go. So it was good that they found that bit of energy, and if one team looked like they was going to win, it was us. We were the ones who were creating the chances. So I was a bit worried at half-time, and I'd have settled for a draw before the game, to be honest.
Yeah, we were all a bit worried, weren't we, Jim? You know, half-time thinking, we missed our chance. And
Yeah. I'll tell you what, though, it does make me feel like we might beat them here. You know, the sort of fear factor of Man United over the years is, you know, obviously it's been a big thing because they won so much, but in the past few years they've become almost a little bit of a bogey team for us. And we were talking about this earlier. It seems like an odd thing to say about such a big team, but it feels like in this period that they're having, where they've been a little bit, you know, all over the place, we maybe shouldn't have beaten them as much as we should have. I know we beat them 3-0 here at one stage, but I feel like based on that, we'll be the strong favourites at home, and that's the sort of thing we need to start getting back. That confidence in these big games, and you know, it's always a huge fixture, and to battle that out already, you know, even since the start of this, it's feeling like a better point than maybe it did when we started talking about
this.
It
feel like 3 points now. We're going to win the league. Yeah, we're in.
Right, we're almost out of time, guys. But before we go, I wanted to get the one-word sign-off from you guys. One word to describe that game. Who wants to go first?
Relief.
Relief from Perry.
Relief.
Fine.
Fine.
Fine
from Jim. There you go. Thank you guys very much for joining me on Arsenal Nation Live. I'm sure you'll be on again very, very soon. Remember, we'll be back on Saturday for the Huddersfield game. And thanks for watching. We'll see you then.